I do here. I have to advocate in a very genuine way. Seriously, our Black men have gone through so much, and financially, it is almost impossible to try empower yourself, even when you try. You know, the system's against you. You know, people don't have support from the government. You have 400 years of being, oppressed. Where is this money going to come from? You know? And so we do have to give our fellow Black men grace. And if you can see the intention is to do better, and make someone something serious, that's a good guy.
Yeah.
And I mean that genuinely. I always say that, like, Black men, particularly, I'm going to speak about South Africa because I'm proudly South African. You guys are up against so much.
And like I think it's interesting because we never have these conversations. And the rhetoric and the narrative out there is like, yeah, I am not Bob the Builder. I'm not building any man. And we're not saying take a guy that's a bum, that has no vision, that has no ambition, and make him your man. But it's like everyone is still working on themselves. I think we judge each other like very harshly. We're looking for people who are already made or who are like already perfect. And I think that's why there's so much miscommunication between males and females.
You guys, this conversation between Unandi and El Tito is the gift that keeps on giving. So there's been so much discourse, gender wars, and this topic of giving men grace, especially giving Black men grace, and people being against it. So many people have so much to say, and so many people are agreeing, others disagreeing, others understanding, others not understanding the context of the whole conversation. But let's get into it.
The reason why women can't show men grace is because they don't have any left. They gave it to Ket Matlala. They gave it to Chris Brown. They gave it to the men with bad intentions because men with good intentions are boring. They don't have any grace left for the men that are actually good. And we all know, when Nandi was saying what she was saying, she was referring to men that are actually trying. Ket Matlala ninanati, hey, oh, he's not so bad, oh, Bantasa, his story is so touching, Kanim Haugel. Oh, Chris Brown, you guys were willing to fight women for change, for trying to sabotage la concert yake so that you can go there. Hey, Tina, we are there to support the art, not the artist. Trying to find smart ways to slither your way through accountability because you feel bad for going to an abuser's concert. You tell us all the time that men with good intentions are boring, guys. Tina, we sifuna last thing. So all your grace that you had for men, it's finished. You gave it to the horrible men. When it's time for you to show it to the men that are actually deserving of it, you are angry. Because you are thinking of all the bad, horrible men. Because all of you guys, when you are stitching Nandi, you are talking about the ANC government, the people that are just chowing money in the systems, the people that are smoking drugs, the people that are dropping out of school to go do Forex and make money, but then they end up not making it. You are thinking about those examples of men. The men that have broken your heart, the men that have cheated on you, left you with 3 different children by 3 different baby daddies. Those are the men that you guys are thinking about when you're listening to what Unandi is saying. You're listening from a trauma-triggered point of view. When we all know deep down about men that are normal. And we know they are normal men that she's talking about. Why? Because y'all keep telling us she comes from a position of privilege. That her father is a doctor. That her husband is a wealthy man. Those are the men that are doing things by the book, by the legal way. That are working hard to make their ends meet. Those are the men that she's talking about. The men that find it hard to finance a business because the bank will not finance them because they are a Black man. The men that went to school to study mara imisebenzi ayiko because companies are not hiring. They are segregating. They rather hire a white person for this position. Those are the things that she was talking about and the people that she was talking about. But today you are acting brand new. Discourse Diva told you guys that you guys are there at the taxi rank dropping your boyfriends and husbands off in cars that are being paid for by you. You are letting these guys flex ngezindlu that you guys are paying bonds for. And then when those guys play you, that's you giving them grace. And then when they play you, they finish playing you. When a good man who's actually trying with good intentions comes, Uti, he's boring. Now you don't have any grace left to give to this man. Why, ladies? Why must the good man always have to come and pick up after y'all's pieces? Y'all give your best to Nigerian men. I forgot that. Hey, Nigerian men are better than South African men because they just spend, they don't ask questions. And then they dog you out, they use you for fufu and mumu and what. Jiggy, now you are fucked up. You are used to the street life of my trucks. You are exposed to nonsense. Now a good man somewhere from Limpopo must come rehabilitate you and accept you with your 4 children from different baby daddies, one of which is a married man because you were trying to make sure you trap him ngomntwana so that he can marry you. Now we must go read books, Tina, and attend therapy so that we can learn skills of how to deal with a broken woman. Like, you guys give your best to men that are horrible. That's why all of your responses are just based on men that are just doing the bare minimum. You don't see the good men. Only when they are boring because they've got good intentions. That's the only time you guys know that there's good men and bad men. Mara, for now, all men are in the same basket. None of them deserve any grace. It's because it's finished, my sister, but you're not willing to be honest with yourself.
And on this topic of giving grace to men, you guys must give us grace when we step out of the relationship, step out on the marriage. It's because as men, we have needs. And sometimes it's just too much to handle this desire. So you must give grace to your husband, to your boyfriend, because he's trying. I can't even keep a straight face. Yo. Because it gets to a point. There's someone who was gonna give grace to a cheating man right now. Hey, Maradina, you love relationships to a fault. These relationships will be the end of you. It gets to a point. It gets to a point. How much grace are you gonna give to someone who's stepping out? And you are gonna do it. There's someone right now who's going to marriage counseling because your husband stepped out 5 times. It gets to a point.
A comment said, and someone right now has a daily appointment with ARVs since she was busy gracing the husband who was having fun alone. Yeah, just imagine.
I do wish black men and black women in South Africa could get along better. I do wish we could be more sensitive to each other, more understanding, and not bash each other on social media the way we do, which we do on a daily basis. With that being said, I unfortunately have to disagree with her. I do believe that black men, in South Africa in particular, are solely to blame for the situation we find ourselves in. I do think that if black men want black women to be the way they were, to work with them, if they want to build black families, black men, we are going to have to take accountability. It may not have necessarily been us, but our forefathers unfortunately lost the fight against colonizers, colonialists, the British in particular, and then the Dutch and all the other mixes from the Western Cape. They lost. Whether it was a spear fighting a gun, whether it was religion, Christianity fighting Isintu and a black way of living and an African way of living, whether it was losing your indigenous language to English and maybe Afrikaans, whether it was losing your indigenous attire, the clothes that we wear that are organic and in tune with nature, or the clothes that we wear today, whether it is the education that we teach our children, which is apprenticeship and the like, versus the modern schooling system, which was brought on by the Industrial Revolution, whether it is our primitive or our backwards or our delayed weaponry, which to this day, unfortunately, black African men have not progressed in terms of the quality and the technological advancement of their weaponry, whether it is our medicine, which was created or made to cure illnesses, and that was organic with minimal side effects, versus modern medicine with its crazy side effects that is not really about curing but more about managing symptoms. Black men lost. I had a conversation with my brother this morning, and one of the things I said to him, because he shared a video with me which was speaking about the data of children that are killed by women in South Africa and how the number is so high as compared to the number of children being killed by men. What was important for me in that conversation, what I said to him was, unfortunately, human beings are zombies, and zombies that are run on scripts. And if you want your script to be the one that is the mainstream script, that is the worldview, you are going to have to scream it out loudly every single day. You are going to have to pay politicians to recite the script. You are going to have to fund movies and music and social media to blast the script as much as possible. This is what it takes. Black men in South Africa had a script for their women in particular. Women were submissive. They served their man. They would get married through ilobolo, and then they would take on the family name of the man. They would take on his language, his beliefs. They would bear children for the man. They would assist him in his vision. The white man came and he brought a new script. Feminism, women empowerment, women can make their own money. They must go to school. They don't need a man. They can abort if they want. They have agency over their body. They can learn other languages, etc., etc. And this script would clash with the script of black men that they wanted for their women and for their families. So what we have today is these two scripts, and unfortunately black men have still failed to organize themselves, to make sure that they have built the institutions, to make sure that they incentivize women and children to buy into their script, and then to pick the right leaders, traditional, religious, political, economic leaders that are going to enforce the script. Today, the same black men have got kings, they've got chiefs, they've got politicians, they've got pastors that are pushing a completely different script from the one that they claim that they believe in. And until black men take accountability and say, we are failing, every day we are failing our women, we're failing our children, we're failing economically, we're failing politically, we're failing religiously, spiritually, we're failing medically. How do we then fix it? Nothing will change. And sadly, we'll need more women like Nandi to feel sorry for us, like the losers that we are. And it's not necessary, if we can be honest as black men, to say, guys, we failed, our forefathers failed. How did we fail? Where are we now? Where would we like to be? And how can we change the narrative and build institutions so that we can get back onto a script that makes sense for us and what we wish for the black nation and the black family. Ipene mnyama pene enso, this what pen the black pen. Shut.
And some stated that giving men grace didn't mean not holding them accountable. And some said that Unandi was speaking from a place of her own perspective, from where she grew up and how she saw things from her view, in a way that her family was more successful and their view in life and how they behaved was different. That is why she had the experience that she had, knowing men that deserved the grace.
Nandi Madida said, give black men grace, especially if they are good men and they have good intentions. That's all she said. And then she said, when she met her husband said to her, I love you and I'm going to marry you. And that's exactly what he did. So he is what? A man of his word. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. Didn't make her audition for any role. Didn't make her do things to prove her worth to him. He already knew what he wanted. When they met, he was already the head of some record label, which meant what? That his provision was already in place. He knew what he wanted because now he was coming with a provision element which didn't require her to do much except to yield to what he was proposing or bringing to the table. He didn't ask her, what are you bringing to the table, even though he was the pursuer. Let's take note of these things. Zakes Bantwini had never at some point asked Nandi Madida to audition for any role. And then he did that, they got married and lived happily ever after, right? But whilst they were doing that, living their lives, Zakes Bantwini has never at any point come on social media to talk about how useless women are, how women are gold diggers, how women don't have value, how women are second-hand cars. He's never done that. To show you he's a good man who respects women. That is why his wife is able to speak so highly of him, because he's living with the energy of a good man. A good man. And whilst we're being asked to give grace to these men, why are men never asked to be good men? Why are they never asked to be intentional in how they approach us in the dating space? Because if you want to know the true intent or true intentions of men. Ask us who are out here, and we will tell you exactly what we are experiencing, and yet we are expected to give out our grace bundles to these men. No. You'll never hear scandals about Six Bantwin. I think years ago there was one where he was accused of having a child outside of his marriage, allegedly. I don't know. But apart from that, you will never hear this man speaking badly about women. He is always embracing his wife. That's what he's doing. The energy of a good man. The energy of a good man. But out here, we have to negotiate with men who are pursuing us to be good men. We have to be negotiating with them to be intentional, because they come to us and they don't have any intentions. You ask them, what are your intentions? We even have to ask them what their intentions are, because they don't know what their intentions are. What did Nandi say? Nandi said, give grace to black men who are intentional and are good men. But the ones that we're experiencing are not intentional. You are the one that's going to ask this person, what are your intentions? No, when I rata complain, let's go with the flow. That's what we are dealing with. We're going to ask a person, where are we going? No, a woman is not supposed to ask a man where the relationship is going. A man knows. We are dealing with men who know what they know, but they won't tell us what they know. So we just have to be sitting there for 10 years auditioning for a marriage that will never come. What are we expected to do? What are we expected to do? You are dating a person who cannot regulate their emotions. One argument, fella, he's aggressive, well sharp, because he cannot regulate his emotions. What grace are you going to give to such a man? How do you give someone grace with a blue eye on your face? How do you give someone grace with a bruised up body because this man couldn't handle the fact that he didn't know how to address certain situations in your home? What are we expected to do? Why are women always expected to give men grace, even if it works against them? Why? I don't understand. I don't understand. I used to be very delusional, giving out my grace to everyone because they are not the same. All men are not the same. It's just because this one did ABC doesn't mean the next one is not going to do it. They always do it because men are men. The conversations need to change. They need to talk to themselves and advise each other on why they refuse to be good men. Haona mosadi o sa batle monna o hantle. Haona mosadi who doesn't want a good man, who doesn't want a good intentional man. But these men are not intentional to start with, and they are not good men. You always have to negotiate with them. Even when we put Bomojolo aside, they come to your house to fix. They will never do a good job. You always have to negotiate with them. Please do a good job. Please. Sometimes you don't even have to. They just don't respect you because you are a woman. So what is this grace that we're being asked to give to men? Why are we being asked to give grace to adults who know what they are doing? Because they know what they are doing. Then they will tell you, no, a man knows. A man knows when he's going to marry you or not. He didn't treat you like this because he didn't love you. And that's what we are expected to give grace to. People who know they don't love you, but they will date you anyway for the sake of it. Doesn't make sense. You know that you don't love someone, but you go and date them so you can make their life miserable. Because of what? Because of what? I can understand. If you are loved by a good man, or you are loved because how you speak about him is a reflection of his love for you. How you speak about him is a reflection of how he treats you. I don't ever recall Nandi Madida running to the hospital because Zig's Bantwin Munamushabili. No. Ever. I don't recall any media reports about their relationship being toxic and him atubile fester I enter all of these things, and now she would have left him. But because she's dealing with the energy of a good man, she can come to us and say, guys, give black men grace, especially because that's what she's experiencing. But out here, that's not what we are experiencing. That's not what we're experiencing. We are experiencing men who punish us, fella, for no reason. A man who will withhold finances, who will withhold intimacy, who will withhold communication, who will withhold all sorts of things, who will withhold love. Because they just don't want to love. They don't want to be loved. You do good things for them, you repel them because they don't want the love and good things that you have to give them. What are we expected to do? There's no more grace bundles to give to any man. There's nothing to give. There's absolutely nothing to give. If anything, A black woman must give grace to themselves, because the grace that you are being asked to give to a man is the grace that is going to be depleted, where you are going to live there with nothing, only drained and not knowing where to start, because you were living with somebody who is not a good man and who is not an intentional man, because an intentional man is intentional with how he loves and treats you. I can't understand that. What is this about? Give grace. Yes, give him grace because he's good to you. But we are not going to be giving grace to people who swear at us. Every chance what are we giving grace to? Because even when they come now, how meets Mutuna, but he's already bringing that energy, also understanding, and then you are expected to give them grace. They must give themselves grace by going to therapy. They must give themselves grace by going to address why they hate women, because it's not all of us who did what other women did to them, but we are constantly paying for things that we don't know. Somebody gave somebody grace and is 6 feet under today because a man couldn't control his temper. Hence, we have so many cases of gender-based violence. And then you want grace. And then you want grace. You disrespect us and you want grace. You cheat on us and you want grace. You have children with multiple women and you don't take care of all your kids, but you want grace from us. The grace, the very same grace that makes you abuse us, and then tomorrow we must forgive you because we were giving you grace. Now you can count me out with that provision of grace. A person must work on their issues before they expect anybody to give them grace, because they don't give grace. They don't give women grace, Batuba. They never give women grace. Lauka yoko petrol station honache. Wabuale munna fel osa uragile ya wena fotek you want to give them grace, do it at your own risk, and only do it when you see, here I am dealing with a good quality man who is intentional and is good to me and loves and appreciates me. But if you are not experiencing that energy, don't waste your time. There's nothing to give grace to, because they don't even give themselves grace. Mara, you will feel the wrath of their love when you date them. Until you experience the energy of a good man, you deserve a grace. I will not now be speaking then. No, count me out.
No, the reason why I've been quiet about this whole Nandi video is because this thing irritates me. Because who in the South Africa does not know that men don't need to be given anything because they take? If men want you as a woman and you don't want them, they take you. They can either take your life, take your vagina, they just take. Whatever it is that men want, they take. So I don't understand why right now it is us women who have to give men grace. If they wanted grace, they are going to snatch it out of us. And also remember this whole structure, the way patriarchy has structured the position of men and the position of women. It's not women who did that. It is men. Now the very same system that they put in place, Bona self, is now defeating them. Where do we come in as women? Where? And I understand, or maybe the reason why Nandi doesn't know this is because when we are doing about things that men take from women, she's not there, so she wouldn't relate. So Mina, in my opinion, I feel like because she's living in a bubble where a man needs to be given grace because he's doing a lot, it's okay, my sister. Our struggles are not her struggles.
And another reason why people get angry when black women say we don't want to give grace to black men is because the world has, the patriarchy and colonization has framed black women as caregivers. Remember when your granny was a nanny at the white woman's house? Remember when your mom worked for the white woman? And constantly black women are supposed to be the caregivers, the one who take care of white women's kids, the one who take care of everybody else's kids, and is supposed to be hospitable and loving. But black women are not allowed to express anger. They're not allowed to express distaste or lack of interest in certain things, because for some reason black women should be caught at the cross section of racism and sexism and still find grace to give. What do you mean someone who is the poorest in social hierarchy should be giving other people grace. Why are people not asking white men for grace? Why are you not asking white women for grace? Because as far as I'm concerned, white women are allowed to be expressive people who can express anger and not even have to deal with a lot of the consequences most of the time. But when it comes to black women, they must take the hit, they must take the man who doesn't work, the man who doesn't provide, the man who doesn't consider them as healthy sexual beings, or the man who doesn't consider them as emotional beings who are allowed to express themselves without being labeled too soft, not enough to be a wife material, or not enough to be liked. You don't, the same chat that you have about what it is to be a woman, you don't give it to white women. You don't expect it to white women. The same men who fight you as a black woman, demanding that you should give grace to them for being mediocre and underperforming, are the same men who will know what it is to perform when they are in the presence of white women. I need you to remember this. Once they cross date racially, they start to insult you. Remember the 400 rand for Shini bag? It's one of the millions of examples where people feel entitled to black women's care, nurturing, love, and presence. It's as if we should be the people who are supposed to make everybody else's life easier, but when it's time for them to make our lives easier, everybody else is going to complain. They were conditioned like that, and they like it like that. They don't want to change it. They don't want black women to be soft. They want the strong black woman, and you are not bound to give them that. If you're supposed to be strong, let them also be strong. I know there's a strong black woman stereotype going around. Let's have a strong black man stereotype.
Black men are gonna hate me for this one, but you want grace for problems you fetch. You don't have to have children when you are under stress, when you are underprivileged, but you have them. Most black men who have multiple baby mamas are people who can't afford themselves. They can't. You don't have a home, there's nothing your children can inherit. When women take you to maintenance court, you feel that they are inconsiderate. You say they must have grace for you. First baby mama is already claiming 1,000 rand from you, so second baby mama must give you grace by claiming 500 rand. Black men create problems for themselves because they don't want to prioritize. They know how to, they don't want to. The same men who want grace, but let's car wash, throwing their lives away. No direction, no let's meet, let's do something, majimbos. But people must give them grace. It's an uncomfortable topic. It's not nice to hear. It's the same when I'm holding women accountable. Accountability is not nice. When they give you the mirror and say, look at the problem, you're not gonna like it. The same guys who want grace don't have a simple thing, sexual discipline. They multiply their own problems and then they want grace. Kanjan.
This is one thing I've learned. You cannot be poor and lack sexual discipline. You cannot be financially struggling and lack sexual discipline. A lot of men want grace, but they created their own problems. Most of you, if I ask you, why do you want a job? You'd say, I have 3 children. So because you have 3 children, you think you are entitled to somebody giving you a job. So you want grace for the problems you created. But if you ask somebody who's responsible the same question, why do you want this job? He will say, I am a hard worker, I am skillful, I will not disappoint you. You see the difference? The difference is one is entitled to grace. The other one is willing to work for it. The other one wants to work for it. So most of you, because you have children, you think the world or society owes you something. You want grace. No, I got 2 baby mamas which I'm paying child support for. So my 3rd baby mama must at least want 200 rands because I'm already financially struggling. You want grace for 3 problems that you created. We only give grace to people who are victims. People who find themselves in situations where they didn't make that choice. Like children. Children were born in poor backgrounds. They didn't plan to be born there. They didn't create that problem. Yabo, they are the victims. We can give them grace. We cannot give grace to a man ofonela intombazane imvakashele walala naye angacabanga ukuthi unemployed akasebenzi. This is the same person kusasa who will guilt trip the society and say, I have 2 kids, so you must give me this. If you don't give me this, my children will go to sleep with an empty stomach. No, why are you hiring him? Because he doesn't have a family. Hire me. I got 3 kids, I got 2 kids. Hire me. So they must hire you because you have 2 kids, 3 kids, and they mustn't hire that guy because he doesn't have kids. It doesn't make sense. Companies don't care. They want somebody who's skillful, somebody who's a hard worker, somebody who works smart. They don't care about your personal issues. But you want to put your personal issues in opportunities. No, we deserve grace. Grace for what? For the choices, the problems that you created. Nah, bruh, no. Sometimes people will say the society is too hard on men. But look at how many men don't even have a bank account, but they're having sex. Tomorrow, he makes a woman pregnant, and then we have to sympathize with him when he made that choice and say, yo, he has a child and he's unemployed, somebody help him. Why didn't he think that before he made that child? You understand? I always see this in Soweto. There are guys who think they deserve inheritance because they have children. Men, hey, my dad must give me inheritance. Why? Because I have children. What? So they're using children as a ticket to get whatever they want. They guilt trip us. So they use children to guilt trip us. They want favors because they created problems for themselves. They want people to give them grace because they made personal bad choices. So we must compromise ourselves to fit them in because they didn't have sexual discipline. Come on, guys. Most of you nabantwana ngoba meniponyelwe bafethu. There's no in meniponyelwe nje. You lacked sexual discipline. Now the whole community must feel sorry for you. And the guy who is responsible must compromise his life so he can feed you for your bad decisions. This lady, and what I love, a lady that has children is saying this, that if you are poor, if you are unemployed, if you are struggling financially, you shouldn't even think about relationships, guys, because that's where the beginning of your problem starts. And after having those problems, then you want grace for the choices you made. It's only few men who are responsible that deserve grace. Few men, Bafetu, that deserve grace. It's not the whole South African men that deserve grace. It's only few men, Bafetu. You cannot. That's why I say you cannot be poor. You cannot struggle financially and lack sexual discipline. That's how a man multiplies his problems. When a man has no sexual discipline, that's when he opens the door for poverty. That's when he opens the door for problems. And after that, they want grace. They want grace. Hey, you must give me this money. Why? Because I got children. Why can't you say because you deserve it? Because you are a hard worker. Why can't you say because you are skillful? So they must give you this money because you have a skill for it. But no, they must give me money because I have children. Problem that you created. You cannot be controlled by your erection, and the consequences of not being able to control your erection hit you, and then now you want grace. You want society and the community to sympathize with your bad decisions for the fact that you don't have a sexual discipline. Let's learn to discipline ourselves. Let's learn to prioritize. Men who cannot prioritize do not deserve grace.
Concerning Nandi's call for us to extend grace to men, I think there's 3 things I get from what she's saying. Number 1, anyone with common sense should know that there's good men and there's bad men. whether it's black, white, in every race, there's good men and there's bad men. And if you've got common sense, you know that she's not asking you to extend grace to all men. She's asking you to extend grace to good men. And that takes wisdom, that takes discernment. In fact, as a man, I would recommend that don't extend grace to every man. You got to discern, is this a good man? Is this someone who I should extend grace to? Because there's actually bad men who you shouldn't extend grace to at all, and you should keep out of your life. Number two, likewise, there's also good men and bad women. And I think one of the things we also see happening on these social media streets is this false reality of the moral superiority of women. And the reality is there's good women and there's also bad women. And you as a man also have to discern which woman to be with or which woman not to be with. And again, with the gender war that's happening online, it's important to realize that if you encounter a bad woman, it's not an indicator that all women are bad. At the same time, as a woman, if you encounter a bad man, it's not an indicator that all men are bad. So it's very important that we don't generalize based on subjective bad experiences we've had with bad people. And then thirdly and lastly, it's important to understand that at no point in that video did Nandi command women to extend grace to men. As a woman, if you don't agree with her, you are more than welcome to never extend grace to men. In fact, if you're in that camp that men don't deserve grace and we should never extend grace to men, go for it. At no point was she forcing you to extend grace to men. In fact, it would be a good study to see those who take the side of I'll never extend grace to any man my whole life. Let's see in 5 to 10 years time where that takes you. And let's also study the women who take that advice and actually apply wisdom and discern good men to extend grace to. Let's see how it pans out. Do we have healthy relationships? Do we have happiness? Does it grow into marriages that build strong families? Or does it remain this abusive war between men and women? My prayer is that may good men and good women come together, and may more men come to Christ and become good men at the same time as women too.
So Nandi went on Old Tito's podcast and said we ought to give black man grace, South African black man grace, and feminists were up in arms about it. And she wasn't lying. She wasn't lying. But let's put things in context, because that's what we fail to do as people. You see, we need to learn to hold multiple truths, because in context, she further went on to say, if you see that that man is trying and he's actually trying to make something of himself, you ought to give him grace, give him the space to do so. Understand that we come from a very muddied history. And yes, it affected both black men and black women. But if we're really being honest, we as black women have been afforded some sort of grace even by the system that continues to oppress the black man. Apartheid laws ensured that the black man was stifled in the worst ways possible. They were the ones mostly affected by the past laws, right? Because they are the ones who went out to still fend for their families, to still try and find jobs. So they were the ones being beaten in the streets. As I'm well aware, we had domestic workers and whatnot. But you know what we have as black women? Priority when triple B and double E laws are passed. We have priority when they're considering a new candidate in jobs. We have priority when applying for government funding as black women. Yes, these laws were established for the purpose of trying to uplift previously marginalized communities and whatnot, and certain racial categories at large. But black men are still at the bottom. Yes, we're also at the bottom as black women. Learn to hold multiple truths. We are literally fighting the same battle here. The only thing is we keep shooting at each other. And yes, we ought to afford black men grace. Because I can't tell you how many tenders I've applied for, and I'm considered as a black woman more than my fellow black man just because I'm a black woman. Just because if I step onto that tender as a supplier or a partner or whatever, there's certain benefits afforded to me. But let's move away from that. Let's talk about grace. You see, grace is unmerited favor. She wasn't saying we ought to take every man that's standing at the corner of the street or whatever, and man that's not even trying to win at this life, and give him grace. No, she didn't blanket grace over every black man. She said a black man who is trying. We ought to afford that man grace. Grace has conditions, no requirements, but it does have conditions. Even when coming into Christ, you ought to have a certain posture. For we are saved by grace through faith. You ought to have faith to fall under grace, to benefit from grace, from unmerited favor, right? And having faith goes way beyond being a Christian. Having faith means you're able to see the bigger picture. What is not being presented in your 3D reality yet, but exists in the ether. It exists in the spiritual realms. It extends far beyond the physical, the material. You get? So in affording someone grace, you ought to also qualify them. Do they meet the conditions that require grace? Do they meet the conditions that afford one grace? Is this man trying? Is this man actually in therapy trying to do the work? Is this man, waking up every day, trying by all means to afford himself a better life, improve his lifestyle? Does he have dreams? Is he ambitious? And yes, no one is perfect. We all have our traumas. We all have our traumas. We all have things that we're dealing with. But when she was saying we should afford men or black men grace, I really believe she meant with this gender war that is happening between black men and black women, at some point we need to stop and look at ourselves. And honestly, I think I could even take it as far as saying the fact that we're so angry as black women about what she said says a lot about where we are, the conditions of our souls as black women. And listen to me, I'm saying I agree with her and we should afford black men grace, even as a black woman who's been suffering at the mercy of black men all her life. I was molested by a black man as a child. I suffered domestic violence at the hands of a black man. I was abandoned by my black father. There's a lot that I could tell you that I've suffered at the hands of black men, but I'll never forget this. The day that I forgave the guy who molested me as well as the guy who raped me in my teenage years, God literally sat me down and he said to me, now that you have afforded these people grace, you will never ever suffer so long as there's a man in your life. And I kid you not, I have never suffered. I have never lacked anything so long as there was a man in my life at whatever capacity. This wasn't restricted to a romantic partner or whatever. No, I have friends. I have men who I literally just cross paths with and they want to do things for me. And we can call it attraction or whatever. No, God told me I will never ever suffer so long as there is a man, a male presence in my life. And I have never suffered. And I share this to say that affording someone grace doesn't mean you're letting them off the hook. No, my molester was probably dealing with the consequences of what he did. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not concerned. The guy who raped me, probably dealing with his own consequences. That's their stuff. I had to focus on me and do what was best for me, which was forgiving them and forgiving myself in order to move on. And the thing about forgiveness is that it's a weapon. It's a weapon. It's not when you forgive someone for, doing you wrong, you're not letting them off the hook. No, you are giving something before something is given. Forgiveness. It is a weapon, right? So when you forgive someone, even if they don't apologize, you are actually affording them the room to grow into becoming the kind of person who recognizes, no, man, I messed up. And I've seen this so many times in my life where I forgive people and they come back 7 years later. They will literally hunt me down 7 years later to come and say, listen, I'm sorry for what I did to you. I did you wrong and I'm so sorry. I haven't been able to live with myself. Or someone will do me wrong and they'll think they'll get away with it. And I'll just forgive them and I'll give it to God. And I give them that grace. And they come back weeks, months, years later to say, listen, I had a dream and there was this man on fire and there were angels behind him saying, you need to go apologize. You need to make things right. My life hasn't been the same. It's been stagnant. It's been stagnant since I did you wrong, since I did this to you. We need to be able to afford each other grace. The reluctance to do so speaks to the condition of your character and your soul, your brokenness. We're struggling with the concept of affording black men grace because we haven't even afforded that same grace to ourselves as black women.
That's why we're still waiting for men to come save us, and we're mad at them because they haven't come to save us. We have to give ourselves grace first, but we also ought to afford black men grace. And we need to learn how to hold multiple truths about things. You can know that a person did you wrong, but still know that they have some good in them. And they have potential that seeks to be realized.
Men were praising Nandi Madida the other day when she was talking about giving men grace and being patient with them and whatever she was saying, right? And they were posting her everywhere like, this is the kind of woman we all deserve, an understanding woman, a woman who will support you no matter what, blah, blah, blah. Yet the same men are the ones that are in Sihle Tambuza's comments talking down on him, trying to make him feel small for making a decision that him and his family felt like was a good one for them. Like, this man is not working. He's actually working. He's getting an income. Like, he's not an unemployed bum, but it's the men that are making him feel some type of way just because a woman gave him grace. The same woman that they were saying every man deserves. And like, now it's a problem for him to take time to grow this side of his life, this specific career path that he's trying to embark on. And it's men, it's the very same men that are talking down on him. And those are the men that when men's mental health awareness, whatever month comes, they start talking about how men's feelings aren't considered, they're not taken seriously, blah, blah, blah. Yet it's them that inflict this pain on other people. They're the ones that are making their fellow man or trying to make him feel some type of way.
So, as Nandi Madida said that we must give men grace, right? Let's unpack this whole grace situation. So, we need to look at the way she spoke about Brazix, her husband, right? How her husband treated her and how intentional he was and where they met. They met at the awards. That man was already going somewhere. When they met at some awards. This man was already established in the music industry. He was already going somewhere. Asati gets up the builder can give someone grace. This is very important. Listen. And when they met, it was back then. It was not now, where the femicide rate is through the roof, where women are unalived by their partners every day. You know what I mean? Where ladies are coming on the internet saying, I've been with him for 5 years and he's leaving me for mama. So, which men are we supposed to give grace to? As a woman who's been wronged by different men so many times in my life, which men are we supposed to be giving grace to? This is not even personal. I'm a single mother. Someone wronged me at some point. I'm a single mother and I'm doing the best I can. The child lives in a suburb, good estate, and go private school. So you telling me I must go meet another man and give him grace? I'm already raising a man that I can give grace to, which makes sense that I give grace to this man. But anyways, let's continue unpacking it. You will meet men that will find you as established as you are and feel entitled to your things. So I'm supposed to give him grace for all of my hard work so that he can just come in and stay or do whatever he likes. Make sure these things are happening. So which men are we supposed to give grace? In certain industries, men are paid more than women for the same job. There is a statistic that said a man can be paid 23% more than a woman for the same job, same whatever, even if the woman has more education and whatever, right? It's a thing. Which grace, which men are we giving grace to? Grace, like honestly speaking, I get where she's coming from because she was exposed to such great men. I'm exposed to such great men. I have a present father in my life. My dad is very present. I have 3 brothers, very present brothers. I've got good male friends. I have great role models for my son, right? And this is not out of bitterness. It's just a matter of which people, guys. And also this grace that we are giving to these men, whoever these men are, we can't give it to all these men because they were oppressed. We were oppressed too. You get what I'm saying? We were oppressed too. There's a point where a woman would not have work. You would get married and be a housewife, and then the man would do whatever he likes, right? So which men are we giving grace? And I think when you give grace, it needs to be responsible grace. So guys, if any Tom and Jack on the street grace,
because someone said men deserve grace. What about us? Why is there a high percentage of single mothers? Why is there a high percentage of women losing their lives in the hands of a man? How, guys? Which grace? Grace will grace will teach you a lesson. You better be careful which man you're giving grace. But looking at her situations, which we are very happy for her, she has met a good man who works hard, who provides. He said he provides irregardless of how successful I am. He provides. I hope Limukwil and stop this thing as selective listening. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. Bye guys.
The problem is this: we gave single mothers grace. Let me tell you something. There was shame for single mothers back in the past. There was shame for single mothers to the extent that even a man felt shame for making a woman a single mother. There would be no Penwells running around here making women single mothers and thinking they can be proud of themselves and all that stuff when they've left single mothers in their wake and all that stuff, left, right, and center. I'm just using him as an example because he won't sue. You understand what I'm saying? You understand? And he's fully able-bodied. The single mother issue that we have in black society is something that is a Western creation. There were no single mothers back when there were no whites here. You understand what I'm saying? Girls were virgins, right? Until they met their husband, they raised families and everything. When their husband died, the woman's job was done. Her husband has died. Now the children can grow up and that's it. She wasn't looking to get her groove back. She wasn't a 45-year-old, 50-year-old trying to date a new boyfriend, or there was no expectation that now she needs to do anything other than just to raise the children that she has. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's how we were as black people. That is our original black culture. Now what you see is Bontsiku Mazwai and all of them saying that original black culture subjugated women. How were those women subjugated when they weren't turning out to be single mothers? They weren't turning out to be OnlyFans girls. They weren't turning out to have all the traumas and whatever demons that Dina was dealing with, because it seems like there's multiple demons in multiple dimensions that are playing with her mind. They weren't turning out like that. I mean, come on, she screams at people, shouts at them, runs, jumps, so like all over the place, you know what I mean, has screaming matches with her mother. Just like, look at the torment and turmoil, and just look at the torment and turmoil that's creating for her kids. There's no child who will be proud that their mother is Dineo Ranaka dropping them off at school. Because the other kids are like, what? The other mothers are telling their kids, yo, don't go over there. We don't sleep over. That woman is, you know what I mean? That's the type of mother that she is. You understand?
Or that's the type of mother society.
Well, as opposed to Nandi.
Yes.
Nandi. Well, that's the one.
Comparing her to Nandi.
I mean, she's on a reality TV show. She's on TV. So that's the mother that we've seen from her.
Okay, guys,
I'm just saying. So all of these people are rejecting traditional African values when it comes to the place of a woman and the place of a man. All of them have rejected traditional African values. Ntigi Mazwai posed on Mary Claire. Mary Claire is involved in child trafficking and all that type of stuff, right? She posed naked for their campaign. You understand? To further sexualize the bodies of black women and use them as sexual objects. You understand? She volunteered herself to be a Sarki Bartman for clout. You understand what I'm saying? So she cannot say that she has stood up for progressive values that protect women. She cannot say that. She has never protected women. And there is no woman that she has uplifted. There's no woman that I can say that, Ntiki Mazwai is uplifting. None whatsoever. Or any other woman that's uplifting any other women in general. There's no women that are uplifting any other woman. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? So when we look at these women, all they are is sent to destroy men.
Okay.
And they only destroy black men. They never come for the white men that go from black girl to black girl, tormenting them, taking their babies, making them grow up in Germany, where there's free education, free university, instead of Cape Town, where, they're building walls of 140 million around the criminal neighborhoods where the girls grew up.
Yeah. The women are not good people. There's no such thing as a good woman. And even your mom. Unfortunately, you need to accept that.
Unfortunately.
That's it. Even your mom. That's why you need to be around, and you need to make sure that your things are in order, so that your mom doesn't go out hurting other people because your son takes care of her and whatever. You understand?
Okay. Yeah.
Because what does your mom do? She uses your dad for protection and safety and taking care of everything. She leeches off, and then when your dad gets too old, then she goes to her sons. Now her sons need to protect her and everything else. You know what I mean? Even if you get married, she needs to be your first wife, honorary wife.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like now you're fighting with your wife because, hey, your mom is now, they don't like each other. And because they know their nature. She knows that she knows that she's using you. So she sees another woman that's using you. And that's why she's jealous.
Even the good men that exist, that are doing their best, that are putting in effort, that are intentional, you guys are breaking them. You guys are breaking them. You guys are breaking the good guys. You guys are breaking good men. You guys are breaking men who are intentional and men who are putting effort. You don't give grace. There's no grace. There's no empathy. Because a man somehow is no longer a human being. So it's no longer even circumstantial. It's no longer even subject to dynamics and situations and what that does grace even mean. No. You guys are just using a blanket approach. And what's even crazy about it is that some of these women who struggle with the concept of empathy and grace for men who are decent, men who are good, men who are intentional, you struggle with that. Some of you guys have boys and you're not aware of your words, what you are releasing into this hypnotic rhythm in the spiritual level. So somehow your son, precious, beautiful baby boy, should be in relationships with women who give him grace. Women who will be empathetic to him. Because, I don't know, or it doesn't work. With your son, it's not going to apply. He doesn't deserve grace. He won't deserve empathy. He won't. Because you believe you're raising him well, right? So, with your words, with people, other women or girls who can listen to your words, what are you feeding them? If they can potentially date your son, what are we doing? Like, it reminds me of, like, even some men, the stuff that they would say about women or just young girls. But don't you have a girl? Don't you have a baby girl yourself? You do. Like, I don't know if it's just the hype of the internet sometimes that we forget to think about the stuff that we say. Men don't deserve grace. Men don't deserve empathy. How is that different to when there's GBV cases and femicide and some of us are on these platforms, we're advocating, we're just talking about these things? Violence against women. Oh, I know the difference is that it's men who are doing it. So all of us now, we are killing women. All of us are not safe. Our daughters and our wives are not safe at home. Yet somehow you guys still want to see a better South Africa. Or you've given up on that in terms of families, in terms of what? In terms of relationships, in terms of raising kids, in terms of... So you've given up on that because the moment you remove empathy and grace, you have reduced yourself when as a person. You have reduced yourself. It means something that makes you a person and a human being. It dies or it's reduced from you. You think you're degrading a man, but you're degrading yourself from a level of being human. Where sometimes when you harm others, you are harming yourself even more. You are living in that lens of pain. And no one should dismiss your pain. You've been hurt. And there's men who are just wrong. They're just men who are just dysfunctional and toxic. But to spread this rhetoric and generalize it, it's dangerous, especially for some of these people who have followers on TikTok or on the social media platforms. There are men who are good, well-meaning men who are healing, men who are putting in the work. But you guys are just crushing that potential. You just are just crushing that intention. You guys are just crushing that effort. And somehow your sons, they wanna be with women with empathy, right? Oh, I know. They're not gonna be with any woman because you're not gonna let them date or even marry. Because you wanna be that kind of a woman who wants to keep your son to yourself. He'll be a mama's boy. Because with that mentality, I don't see how you're gonna be able to let him out. Well, you think like that. Because, I mean, he should probably come across women like you. Why should he come across decent women? Like, ladies, come on. Come on. No. Like, there's just men who are dysfunctional, I get that. There's just men who are toxic, men who are abusive, who should even be arrested, they should face the consequences of their actions. But to just, this blanket approach thing is dangerous. Guys.
Nonsensical thing I've ever experienced in my life was marriage. For me, it does not make sense. It does not make sense that an entire community of human beings would base the success of a contract that is supposed to be two human beings bound together, mutually beneficial, contract on one individual, the woman. So my man cheats, it's my fault. My man hits me, it's my fault. My man abuses me, it's my fault. My man neglects his responsibilities, it's my fault. My man is not satisfied, it's my fault. My man is goddamn hungry, it's my fault. This been making food for himself before he met me. Now all of a sudden, his hunger is my goddamn fault. My man's shirts is dirty, it's my fault. The house is burning down, it's my, can we please make a song?
Do you have insurance?
It's my fault.
Did you get the insurance? It's your fault.
No, but hey,
So Ntiki Mazwai joins the Neo Ranaka and the Bitter gang who don't want Nandi Madida's grace for the men who are struggling. Bitter women who have failed in relationships and they've chosen even wicked men who has had them. They don't want to see other women being in love, healthy, and having good relationships or marriages like Nandi. It's even worse when they are your bosses. You can't even go on maternity leave. They don't even know what grace is. And Nandi was not speaking about the wicked men, but the good men who are trying. And those are your fathers, your brothers, and your sons. The Bitter gang says we must not give them grace. And that means even the Neo son must never get grace. And this is how hardened these women are. They're like Pharaoh, Judas, Jezebel, and those kind of people in the Bible that God could not even save, even if God loves them, as I'll show you in the Bible. So this is why I'm trying to make this video, to warn the young women who want to have good relationships that are healthy, like Nandi's, to protect you from the venom of feminists who pose as angels of light, as if they are there to empower you, but they want you to be miserable like them, no matter how much they pose to be successful and be happy. And sometimes you'll even find that they've got some men even on the underground, and sometimes, or they even got some yes men or some men that they control, because feminism, it is a spirit of Jezebel, and the spirit of Jezebel is that of controlling men. And I'm not saying these sisters, it is the case. I'm just speaking in general and in my observation. Hi, my name is Uncle O. I make videos on relationships, religion, and music. Grace simply means giving someone what they do not deserve. Just like God gave us sinners what we don't deserve, his own beloved son, only son, and he sacrificed him for us, his sinners, who have transgressed against him. We surely don't deserve that, and this is why God wants us to forgive others as he has forgiven us, as the scriptures show. Now, if somebody cancels your debt of 15,000 rands and then somebody else is owing you only 50 rands, how can't you forgive them? Why can't these women forgive whoever has hurt them? And now they want to generalize and have all men not be liked, not be given grace. So it is a form of pride, because you are saying that you deserve to be forgiven by God, and other people, they don't deserve to be forgiven. So now how can God forgive you? Jesus said we must pray that God forgive us as we forgive others. So it means if we don't forgive others, we cannot be forgiven. And that is the danger. If you hearken to that spirit of these women, you stand a chance not to be forgiven by God. And this is why, that's how dangerous bitterness is. You will not enter God's kingdom. Again, I'm not here to attack Sister Ntiki or even Sister Perseverance or Madam Speaker, that I do not know. Neither am I here to protect the Neo, whom I once met. Even went to a home. I've met a family, very, very wonderful woman in her happy days. Oh, I remember the Neo was such a wonderful and a nice person. I believe that thing, it's still there. And she was feminine. She was just very kind, man, guys. It's just that life happens. We do go through things, and then these things, they make us not to see properly. And guys, we are all like, we all have got our weaknesses. So I'm not gonna come and judge someone else on their weaknesses. I also got mine. They can also come back and show up my own. So I'm not here to attack them at all. Instead, I pray for them. So let's pray for these, our sisters. Let's give them some love, man. You know, I know they're trying to protect themselves, and you know, we're all like that. It's a defense mechanism, you know, but love is beautiful, guys. And let's also pray for Sister Nandi. You know, the devil does not want to see good things, so definitely gonna be after her marriage. Let's build relationships. Let's love one another. Let's not allow this beef between black men and women. You know, that's what the devil wants. We need to build, guys. We need to build one another. We need to build our families. And may God bless you. Truth Unzipped. Once you hear it, you cannot unhear it.
I am always disgusted by a woman that shows a level of empathy for men. This comment is in response to the video that I made about me not liking the fact of men being overweight and men being broke. And essentially, she is writing saying that the reason why these men are overweight is because of depression. And guess what? Men will never in their life consider having even an ounce of grace for women when it comes to you not meeting the mark of their standards. You literally will be 9 months pregnant, deliver an 8-pound baby, have postpartum depression, and then 2 weeks later, a man could look at you and call you fat and ask you why you're not back at your pre-baby weight. But you women will literally sit here and come up with all of the excuses for men to be fat, for men to be broke, for men to be lazy, while they've been afforded all of the things that they need to not be any of that. And then these are the same women that get pissed off when they get gaslit by men. Women tell them, you need to give someone a chance, you need to give someone a chance. Y'all constantly are bitching. Y'all are bitching about giving the broke guy a chance. Y'all are bitching about giving the fat guy a chance. Y'all are bitching about giving the man with no job a chance. Y'all are bitching about not giving the man with no education a chance. A man is never going to look at a woman that he is not physically attracted to and have a level of empathy in his brain to tell himself, I'll give her a chance, even though I'm not attracted to her. Hell no. If a man wants a woman that is fit, he's not going to go for an overweight woman. The only time he's going to go for an overweight woman is if he needs some place to stay and he needs somebody's money to mooch off of. Men are never going to look at you with a high level of consideration and say, she might be overweight because it's something wrong with her thyroid. She has PCOS. She has something going on hormonally. Men are never looking at women with that amount of empathy. They're looking at you face value and saying, you're overweight, you're big back, and I don't want that. And as a matter of fact, they're not even going to go as far as to look at you. You're going to be invisible to them. When men are out in the real world, if you do not fit the standard that they have, you're invisible to them. They have no idea that you even exist. Their eyes are fixated on the things that they want. They're not going to sit here and make excuses for a woman. They're not going to sit here and have a level of empathy and come up with all these reasons as to why a woman may look the way that she looked. They're not ever going to do that. You either fit it or you don't fit it. I am so tired of women making it easy for men and then complaining about it later, because that's the issue. It'd be different if y'all would make all these considerations for men and you just shut the fuck up about the aftermath that happens. Y'all will sit here and make these considerations for men and then bitch about it after. I gave him a chance. I didn't even like him. I can't even believe that I gave a man that I thought was ugly a chance. Why the fuck are you giving an ugly man a chance? He would never give you a chance. Why are you over here trying to say, he's overweight because he's depressed? Meanwhile, you sitting here depressed and he's over here asking you, why isn't the house clean? Why isn't my meals ready? I'm hungry. He don't give a fuck about your depression. He's not over here thinking about why you're acting a certain type of way and what he can do to alleviate you from acting like that. He over here wondering why his needs ain't getting met and why you coming up with all these goddamn excuses as to why you're not meeting them. I'm never going to feel bad for women that have a high level of empathy for men. Never. Actually, don't even require a high level. Just empathy. Because men aren't going to have empathy for you. Do we not remember the male content creator that literally was shaming women based off of their height, their weight, and their dress size, and men were eating that shit up? Do we forget that quickly? Do we forget that quickly how men were enjoying the fact that a man was on the internet ridiculing women based off of their size, calling them Big Shirley, playing the trumpet sound when he considered them to be overweight? Do we not remember that time in which men were relishing in that shit? And you got women over here with their fucking cape on trying to save the day to vouch for big back. To vouch for someone that's broke. And in my honest opinion, to me, it's always giving projection. It's always, it's depression. Well, yeah, it might be because you're overweight. But guess what? I don't ask for anybody to bring something to the table that I don't have. So if you're overweight, you may not care about dealing with an overweight man. You may not care. But as someone that had binge eating disorder, that had depression, I lost 60 fucking pounds. Depression is not a lifelong thing. Depression should be a phase in your life. You should be able to overcome depression. You don't have to be fat your whole life. You don't have to be overweight your whole goddamn life because you're depressed. You literally can do the things that is required for you to get over your depression. That way you can lose weight. And then women will sit here and wonder why these men don't want to change because y'all keep making all these excuses for them. Oh, he's depressed. Oh, he's unhappy. Oh, he's having a hard time. Oh, his lizard died. Oh, something is going on with his mom. Y'all are going to constantly make all of these fucking excuses for these men, for them to be broke, for them to be lazy, for them to be overweight, and then y'all cry and complain about it later. And why would the men want to change any of this when y'all are still giving them a chance when they're not meeting the very same standards that they have for you? Women are over here going out the country to a place that they don't fucking speak the language, dropping $30,000 to go on somebody's table to risk their life to meet the beauty standard of which men, what they want, what they're attracted to. You think these men are over here worrying about women losing their lives when they're over here getting their body done to conform to the male gaze? You think men are sitting here thinking about how much pain you're in when you get your waxes, how much time you're spending when you're getting your nails done, how much a financial hit you're taking when you're having to do all this shit on your credit cards, you got to pay it off? You think these men are over here caring about that shit? You think they're over here thinking about all of the time, the energy that you're having to invest, the pain that you're having to endure in order to do these things so that way you can appease them? Meanwhile, they're over here and they got shit stain in their drawers that they're wearing inside out. They're over here eating fast food every fucking day. They're over here collecting unemployment and not looking for a job. And you think that men are over here considering the effort that you're putting in to fucking appease them and to get their attention, and they're not doing shit in order for them to be physically fit, for them to have the funds to want to spend money on you and to want to take care of you? Women like y'all disgust me. Women like y'all disgust me because it's like, why do y'all give these men so many excuses? I don't care if you're depressed. Get undepressed. You can get undepressed. Like, men, the thing about it is that for a lot of men, they don't even want to be adjacent to having mental health issues. Y'all will put that shit on them to further enable them. A lot of men, they don't want to have any type of thing put on them with being depressed, with being mentally unstable, with being weak. Y'all put that shit on them and give them all the excuses, and they don't even want them excuses. And then y'all sit here and wonder why these men don't want to do anything, why they want to be lazy. Y'all be enabling them to be lazy by making up all of these goddamn excuses. Y'all are the reason why women are the new men. Women with this mentality are the number one reason why these women are the new men, because all y'all do is allow them to get away with their piss poor behavior. Like, tighten up.
The whole dynamics of this conversation is very broad, but also knowing the context of what she meant, what she was really talking about. And I think we can all understand that she was not talking about giving grace to those bad men. The men who are not trying, the men who are not there, the men who are not serious about you, the men who want to make you a baby mama. And unfortunately, a lot of women have given grace to men that are undeserving of it. Men who don't deserve even their womb, their finances, anything. And that is why so many people stood up to say that which men should be given grace? Why should men be given grace when they have done 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3? Also not realizing that there are men who have not done those things, and there are men who are deserving of such grace. Example, Bo Zix Bantwini. And even if you bring Abo Entlembali into the mix, yes, Black Coffee was given the grace, but at the end of the day, threw the grace in Entle's face. And there are so many women who gave that grace to men, and it was not received well, and they were just played with. And there are also so many women who gave grace and it paid off, like Abo Nandi. And it's important to know where to give grace and who to give grace to.
Yes, because people are speaking from trauma. Nandi yambona ukuthi ukhule kanjani, ushade bani, life decisions she has made for herself. She's not a bitter woman because of what she was trying out in the 20s with men or whatever. No. She's speaking from her reality. And sometimes, guys, other people have
don't know that you
different realities from you, man.
Yeah.
So understand the reality that they speak from and aspire to that, because I want to have a daughter like that. You know what I mean? I want to have a daughter who
more Nandis, man.
Yeah, I want to have a daughter, and you create that as a father, number one. Because I want to have a daughter who is not raised on trauma, who's not raised on bullshit,
But a little
on
bit of trauma is
lies,
good, man. A little bit of trauma in life is good, man. A sprinkle of trauma, just a little bit.
you know, like,
Yeah.
hey, face.